Hey everyone. Well, I was born in the 90s, so for most of my life, the President of the United States has been someone who is relatively secure in the world. Up until, what was it, 2 years ago, there hadn't been a presidential assassination attempt of any sort of credible threat in my lifetime. But for people who are older than me, for people my grandparents' age, this wasn't the case. And for a good amount of people who are still alive today, they remember a day. They remember the specific day, time, place where they were when a president was shot and killed. And those kind of things can fall away to history and can be seen as something that belongs to a country or belongs to the president and his family. But it's easy to forget that there are people whose job it was day after day to take care of that president who was killed. That their only success measurement was keeping that president alive in the eyes of the rest of the country. So when that president is killed, what is that like for those people? Here's a book that answers that question. This is The Kennedy Detail, Gerald Blaine and Lisa McCubbin. And this is about the team that was in charge, firsthand accounts of the team that was in charge of taking care of President John F. Kennedy on the day that his life was taken. And I'll read the inside of the dust jacket real quick. The Secret Service, an elite team of men who share a single mission: to protect the President of the United States. On November 22nd, 1963, these men failed, and the country would never be the same. Now, for the first time, a member of JFK's Secret Service detail reveals that the inside story of the assassination, the weeks and days that led to it, and its heart-rending aftermath. This extraordinary book is a moving, intimate portrait of dedication, courage, and loss. Drawing on the memories of his fellow agents, Jerry Blaine captures the energetic, crowd-loving young president who banned agents from his car and often plunged into raucous crowds with little warning. It describes the careful planning that went into JFK's Texas swing, the worries and concerns that agents working long hours with little food or rest had during the trip, and he describes the intensely private First Lady making her first ever political appearance with her husband just months after losing a newborn baby. Here are vivid scenes that could only come from inside the Kennedy detail. JFK's last words to his tearful son when he left Washington for the last time. How a sudden change of weather led to the choice of an open-air convertible limousine that day. Mrs. Kennedy standing blood-soaked outside a Dallas hospital room. A sudden interruption of six-year-old Caroline's long-anticipated sleepover with a friend at home. The exhausted teams of agents immediately reacting to the president's death with a shift to LBJ and the other key governmental figures. The agents' dismay at Jackie's decision to walk openly from the White House to St. Matthew's Cathedral at the state funeral. Most of all, this is a look into the lives of men who devoted their entire beings to protecting the presidential family and the stress of the secrecy they carried. Again, I'm not old enough to have been around when this went down. But I did grow up in Tampa, in the city of Tampa, which is where President Kennedy was the day before he was shot and killed. And Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa today is where he traveled. So with that in mind, I've always had an interest in the situation, as do most Americans. And I want to read one more thing just from the back cover of the book. And there's this beautiful photo of the president and his wife. in the motorcade. And there's a short scene. There's a short scene from the book. So as a medic burst into the trauma room, and instinctively Clint Hill took a step toward Mrs. Kennedy. He's still breathing, the man said as he rushed past. Mrs. Kennedy stood up. Do you mean he may live? She asked. No one answered. Kellerman handed the phone book to Hill and rushed into the trauma room. Clint, what happened? Jerry Bain asked earnestly. Shots fired during the motorcade, Clint said as he kept an eye on Mrs. Kennedy across the hall. It's all happened so fast. We were 5 minutes away from the Trade Mart. The situation is critical, Jerry. Prepare for the worst. The operator cut into the line. Attorney General Robert Kennedy wants to speak to Agent Hill. What's going on down there? Bobby Kennedy demanded. Shots fired during the motorcade, Clint repeated. The president is very seriously injured. They're working on him now. Governor Connolly was hit too. Well, what do you mean, seriously injured? How serious? Clint swallowed hard. It was all he could do to keep it together. It's as bad as it can get. That is The Kennedy Detail. Gerald Blaine.